Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi. Today's going to be an unboxing video as I've just received this box all the way from the US from Barbarossa Customs. Now if you've watched my channel recently you'll have seen that I got a very kind donation from Bass of a whole load of Masters of the Universe sort of figures to be repaired, and in that lot was a Laser Light Skeletor. In fact the remains of a couple of Laser Light Skeletors which have been sat in my to-do pile for a very long time because a lot of him was broken. You can see here there's a broken arm and the bodies were all sort of damaged and bits were missing. Well, that's why I got in touch with Barbarossa Customs, because I was doing some research on this and found out that Pete over there produces a whole load of replacement parts for Laser Light Skeletor. So I got in touch with him to see if I could order some bits and the pieces that I needed to work on that project. And he said that would be great, that would be fine, but even better than that, he would send me a whole load of pieces, and that is what is in this box here. So I have no idea what is in there. I assume that there are bits that I requested for this project, but he said there are some other sort of surprise pieces as well. So let's open up this box and we'll take a look and see what he has sent all the way from the US. Right, so here is the box. I will put a link to Pete's site, Barbarossa Customs, in the description of this video, so do go and check it out. He does an amazing selection of pieces, and as I say, why I got in touch with him was because of the Laser Light Skeletor that I'm working on, and he does, I think, pretty much most of the parts of it. I think you could probably build a Laser Light Skeletor from all the pieces he produces, so it's a wide selection of stuff, and they looked amazing quality. So yeah, let's see what he has sent here. There's a letter on the top, so let me just have a quick read of that. So the letter says, Dave, greetings. Well, here it is at last in all its glory. A substantial array of offerings from yours truly, all hand cast and hand finished. As intimated, I went a bit beyond the initial discussion of some replacement Laser Light Skeletor figures. In fact, I've gone so far as to include the very first of what I will soon be offering for sale. A complete Laser Light Skeletor figure DIY kit, sans cape. Blimey, that's going to be a good project. There are sets of colour variations as well, grouped in separate baggies for both the translucent red parts and the blue body parts. Since we share a mutual love for the Lord of Destruction, I've included multiples of a particular piece, which is usually a bane to completing vintage Skeletors. You'll also find an assortment of parts including vintage classics and Origins coloured blank heads for your customising enjoyment. And speaking of Origins, I've included a fully painted pair of what has become my go-to display heads, along with proper Alcala swords. Enjoy! Keep up the fine work with your videos. They're a staple of my viewing. I'm very pleased we've connected and look forward to more content in the future. Can't wait to see the video. Best, Peter, Barbarossa. Well, sounds like there's some really good things inside this box, so let's just get on and go straight in and see what he sent. Lots and lots of packing beans, and I can see bags of stuff here, so let's carefully pull these out because I don't want to put too much mess all over the floor. As you can see, look, it's a whole load of parts and pieces, and even more pieces. Heads indeed. Look at those heads. Well, yeah, let's get this all out and we'll go through each piece individually and see what he sent. Blimey, it's just absolutely loads of pieces. Amazing stuff. So here is the first bag. Now he said that they were Origins versions of the heads, so let's have a look and see what these are. Oh yeah, look at this. Ah, brilliant. That is something I did point out when reviewing these Origin figures. The power sword doesn't have a double-sided version, so when He-Man holds it, it's got a terrible sort of construction sort of size where you join the two pieces together. But I see he's made a full one, and there's a new head here as well. Let's take a look at that one. So this is He-Man's head for the Origins era figures. And there you go. Is that a better head? I might have to get my Origins one out just to have a look and see it. But this is all hand cast. He does an incredible job. The quality of these is amazing. Let me grab some of my Origins figures. We'll get to Skeletor out and I'll grab some of my Origins figures and we can compare these. So again, there is the Power Sword or Havoc Sword, but with both sides. And then there's another head in here. So this is a Skeletor head. Pull that one out. See what he's done there. So this is hand cast. Oh, it's quite nice. It's got a different sort of feel to it. let me get my Origins figures and we'll see what these look like next to those. So here are my Origins versions of He-Man. So as I said, this sword was one thing that was very disappointing on both He-Man and Skeletor, because if you turn it over you can see that the other side is left sort of with little rivets and bits on it. That's because these two bits of the sword are supposed to join together so you can make one version of the sword. But it means for displaying He-Man, he had a very duff looking sword. So we now have a good sword that we can display with He-Man. I think that looks quite nice. It works quite well. It's certainly a lot better to be able to have both sides of it. And likewise, we have the same version for Skeletor. And then he's also included, let me just take that out of his hand, some different heads, which he says are his go-to display heads. So you can see here, that's the head that came with the Origins figure. There's a much more aggressive version of He-Man there. Should be able to just pop these off like so and swap them over. So these are the heads that he uses as his sort of go-to display ones. That looks pretty nice. And then we'll have a look at Skeletor. So this is a Skeletor one. I'm not a massive fan of this head. It's slowly growing on me. I prefer it if the mouth was shut. But let's have a look at this one. So if we pull this head off, we can now swap this for what he says is his go-to head, like so. Yeah, that's not bad actually. Quite an intriguing look, and it fits really nicely. So if you want to customize your Origin Skeletors and He-Man, looks like these are two quite good options. Next up we have another bag of pieces, and this looks like it is a selection of different heads. These are vintage heads, so these are sort of original era heads, all cast in different colours. So we've got a yellow Skeletor head, we've got a blue He-Man head, which I guess would be very good for making a faker, and then we've got, is that Jitsu or someone like that, and then there's another He-Man with a beard. That's the Scareglow version of Skeletor's head. So some cool heads for customising now. Move those to one side. And then we have a whole selection of, oh wow, look at that. These are really useful. This is the wrist restraints for Snake Mountain. You'll have seen me make my own versions of these using pieces of Lego, and it looks like these have been cast in a much more flexible plastic. So I think, yeah, that's an ideal version of those. Do check out my video on making your own versions, but it looks like if you want to get some custom ones that aren't going to snap, those would be ideal. And then, this is what he means, the bit that's always missing, and it is always missing, the little skirt part for Skeletor. I don't know how many Skeletors now, I've got a lot of them, and I think, you know, most of them are missing this little skirt piece, so that is a really useful replacement to offer. That looks really good. I have to pull out a figure in a minute so we can try that on. Actually, in fact, I'll bring my original Skeletor in. He's just standing at the back there. Yeah, that is a piece that is always missing, Skeletor's skirt. So he's included a whole load of those, which means I think I can re-skirt, yeah, a big selection of my Skeletors. That's really very useful. There's also one in a sort of nice orange colour, which I think is for the Faker version of He-Man, so that might have to go with him. I'm sure my Faker doesn't have that piece. Very useful. And then we've got some other miscellaneous weapons. So there is the Sorceress's Staff. That is Scareglow's little axe thing as well. And then some other pieces here which also look like, yeah, I agree, these are always missing. I can see exactly what he's saying. So that is the tiny gun for the Castle of Grayskull, and then that's Merman's little sort of belt buckle piece. Not quite sure what that piece is for, but I certainly do recognise it. And then some other weapons. So yeah, quite a good selection of pieces there. We have another bag here with a selection of different head pieces, and I think these are all sort of designed for custom. So these are unpainted pieces included. So we've got here, so this one looks like an Origins He-Man head. It has the same sort of attachment there, but this is unpainted. And we've got another, different Origins He-Man here. So this looks like much like the one that I showed you earlier that was painted in sort of the, you know, the angry version. We've got that. Then we've got different versions of the Skeletor head. So we've got, that's again, that was one that I showed you earlier painted, and it looks like there's a, oh, that's cool, you can take that off. I'm assuming that's probably glow in the dark or something looking like that. But yeah, that looks quite nice sort of skull head. So we've got a few different versions of Skeletor there. And then we've got a different version again. This one looks like it has a different sort of hood to it, so much more of a sort of a cartoon accurate hood with the bit coming down the back of his neck. And again, different versions of his face. Oh, I like that one. That actually does quite look like Skeletor, so if that's painted up, that would look really quite nice. And then we have another selection of unpainted bits of head here. So we've got another Skeletor head in black, we've got another He-Man head with a slightly yellower hair, so it's just a different shade there, a blue version as we say for a Faker, and then we've got another head here with long hair. I do recognise this head. I couldn't tell you what the name of it was, but it's certainly for Origin's ear. It's got the same sort of fixing there. And then some different heads there. So there's a sort of lizardy one and another skull. That's just the skull without the cowl. So that's a nice selection of customisable heads to go on various figures. And this final bag is going to be all the Laser Light Skeletor pieces and his custom kit that he was been talking about in that letter. So let's take that out. As I say, I will be putting links to his website. I know he's got a new website where you can get all of these pieces from. So it's barbarossacustoms.com, but I will put links to that in the description of this video. And you're going to be seeing more of this over the coming weeks because I have plans to rebuild the two battered and broken Skeletors that I have here and get them all working. So you can see here we have a whole bag of pieces. Now I'm guessing this is the kit version that he is talking about, the one where you can get all the pieces and rebuild it completely, because I can see it even contains lights and little LEDs. We'll look at that one last because I want to take a look at these pieces, which are the bits for the one I'm rebuilding. So I requested of him a spare arm because the arms I had are pretty busted up. I think the left arms are sort of in reasonable condition, so that's a left arm, but the right arm has all sorts of wiring and pieces that go through it. So you can see it's made out of two pieces and then some wires go through it down to the hand, and that's where the light part comes. And the one I've got is all smashed to pieces, so I needed one of those. And then one of the heads that I've got, the front part of the head is in reasonable condition, but the back part has been snapped completely. So he sent me a replacement head, so that's great. That's bits I need for one of the Skeletors. And then I guess we move on to here. There's another one. He's cast them in some different colours as well, because mine are a little bit faded and a little bit sort of, you know, they've got some age to them. So he cast them in sort of various shades for me. Hopefully these will match. So you can see that there's a different one here, slightly different shade of blue. So I'll be able to sort of pick and choose which one I need. But it's the same part. So you've got the head here and the arm there. I'm going to try and keep these all organised so I know which ones go with which. And then one of my Skeletor's legs, I think it must have been a short fill or something like that, so not enough plastic got poured into the mould when it was made, you know, by Mattel back in the day. So his leg was really short and really bent, so I asked for a replacement leg, and I've got a nice set there. I think I'll probably be using one original one and one of these customs. And Pete said that it's quite awkward to get these little pieces in to enable the leg to move. And I know on one of mine the leg is actually snapped at that point, so that's really cool. They need painting. Some of these bits have a sort of brass sort of colour to them, so I will be repainting mine. But that's great. So there's a replacement pair of legs there as well. Then we have some other pieces. So one of my Skeletors is missing a hand and one isn't, so I did ask for some bits, and he sent me a replacement hand here. So these little pieces here are actually the eyes, and then this is the sort of glowing Havoc staff that Skeletor holds. He sent me another one which is in a slightly different shade of red, so that's really useful because again I have two different figures. I think they probably came from two different factories because they are slightly different colours, so that's really cool. Then we've got the pelvis part. So basically you can rebuild, as he says, the whole figure, which is what that other bag is, which we will look at in a minute. So there's the pelvis that needs sticking together. Looks really good. Nice colours on that. And I think there are possibly two in slightly different shades of red. So I have all the pieces for that one. And then these are the sort of the leg discs that go inside. So you can see there on the upper leg. So it's a whole selection of pieces. Now, I'm not sure what these are. These just look like different weapons, possibly custom weapons to go with Skeletor. I only remember him coming with the Havoc staff, so these look like little custom pieces that we could also make glow with him. So we've got another sword and a different gun. And then finally we have the little battery holder that goes on the back of the figure. This is a piece that the battery goes inside, and there should be a switch or something on top of it once it sort of pushes in, and that lights up the figure, because the Laser Light Skeletor, basically his big feature is the laser light. So yeah, that's cool. So that's all the pieces for the project I need. But let's look at his custom kit in greater detail. So this is the custom Laser Light Skeletor kit sans cape, which is going to be quite an interesting project. I will have to make this one separately, just on its own video. I think I will do my repairs on the ones I've got to repair, and then I think I'm going to have to make this one separately. Yeah, incredible. This is all the pieces to make your own Laser Light Skeletor. So we've got his legs, we've got his pelvis, we've got arms, and then this is the torso part of it. As you can see, this is the one bit that I don't need for my project. I've got a few of these torsos. So that's the torso. All of this needs painting and constructing, but there's bits of wire to sort of put in the lights. I see he's included the little lights here and a switch, which I guess needs to be mounted on the top there, so you can put in a little switch with some lights and some batteries. Wow, that is going to be a really fun project, and it's amazing that he can offer this as something. He's obviously really taken the time to take a Skeletor apart and rebuild it sort of from scratch and make moulds of everything. Yeah, that's really very clever. You can see it's all got little separate little pins and things to hold it together. Because Laser Light Skeletor is a rare figure, and I know a lot of people want to add him to their collection. So this will be a really good way for people to add a Laser Light Skeletor to their collection. So I think I'm going to have to build this kit as a completely separate video. I'm going to do my restorations on the ones that I have, and then I will build this kit as well. And even though he says that this doesn't come with a cape, one of my plans for my Laser Light Skeletor project is actually to make a cape for him. So I will be providing that, and you'll be able to get the patterns for that for free. So if you ever get this kit and you need the cape for it, you'll be able to get that here. So wow, what an amazing selection of pieces. Really, thanks so much, Pete. Incredible amount of stuff you've sent over, and some really fun bits and projects. The pieces that I need for my Laser Light Skeletor project, I've now got nothing holding me back. I can get on with getting him all fixed up, and I'm really looking forward to doing your kit version of it as well. I think that's going to be great fun to sort of put together like basically a modern version of Laser Light Skeletor, using all nicely sort of moulded and cast pieces. The quality of the pieces that he has sent is really fantastic. They really feel great and really feel sort of like they're good, sturdy quality pieces that are going to really work well on the figures. In fact, I've just put one of the little skirts on this Skeletor here. I just happen to have, this is one that I am currently rebuilding, and as he said, this skirt is always missing, so I've just put one of those on there, and I've got a whole box full of them missing that skirt, so I'm going to put all of those onto the figures that I have. Do check out his website. I will be putting links to Barbarossa Customs in the description. It's well worth checking it out. You can see on the back here it's got a whole picture of all the stuff that he is making. There's a really great selection, so do check that out, and you will be seeing all of these pieces being used in upcoming videos. So I hope this video has been of interest to you. If it has, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.